Hey guys, today we're switching pace a little bit and we're doing the Regal heads. We're gonna be lapping some of the valves in. The valves I got were, if you could see it, pretty pitted. So I'm using a Permatex grit. Starts at 120 and ends up down to 320, I believe. And then I'm finishing them off with a 1200 grit compound. I'm going to be using my hand drill on them. And I already finished up a couple of them. As you can see, that's what we want, that dull gray finish on both the valve and the seat. And we're oiling the stems up a little bit. As you can see, there's some rust on the seats that haven't been done yet. So just a little bit of nice back and forth motion. Get my drill on there with the suction cup. Already got my couple of different compounds. Just go back and forth until you get it. Try to stay calm. It's a little hard sometimes. You wipe the valve down, it'll get slippery. Then once it's done, you wipe off that compound that's on there still, and we'll take a look at what it looks like. And there we go, we wiped it down. And the actual valve face doesn't look too bad. The seat looks all right. We're talking about that area right here that meets the face. We want proper sealing there. Not too concerned with the rest of the pitting on the face of them, although it'll inhibit flow. These heads are much better flowing than the ones that are on the Regal at the moment, so I don't think either way it's a gain. I could always come back later, but at this point I think I'm ready to step it down to the 1200 grit. Give it the final polish. The finer you get, the better seal you're gonna have. So we're gonna go ahead and just do that. All right, well, just finished the exhaust valve on the same cylinder. As you can see, pits are gone. Just finished the 1200. The seat is looking good. So that one's gonna be done. Now it's important we don't mix them up after lapping, because now they're made for that cylinder. I'm gonna move on to exhaust valve on the next one over. Now, just so you get an idea of what it looks like before any lapping, the seat, as you can see, got some rust, and so does the valve face. So I'll show you before and after once I'm done. All right, now I've been lapping with the rougher compound for maybe a minute or two, and you could already see how it's starting to come around. It's been the case for most cylinders already that the seat comes out nicer, faster, so it requires less grinding. However, you could still see some pretty significant pits in the valves. So we're gonna apply another coat of the coarse stuff and keep going. Once we get it down, then we're gonna switch over to the fine stuff, do another minute of that just to increase the sealing, and then move on to the next one again. All right, I just want to take a second here, guys. I'm on my second pass with the 1200 grit, and you know you're getting a good seal, because right now I'm trying to pull up on it. And you hear a little it makes, so you know you're getting, see that? It doesn't even want to come up with the compound in between because it's making a vacuum. That's how nice it's going. And like anything else, you want a good seal for 2 reasons. Keep the haters out and stack paper. Nah, I'm lying though. It's keep the combustion in for efficiency and power. And 2, where the valve meets the head, it actually is its only way of dissipating heat. So without a good contact area, it's not going to be able to release the heat into the head. Therefore, you end up with a burnt valve and then, you know, obviously a poorly running motor. Let me finish up this and I'll give you an after picture of this. And it'll be the last valve I show you since I showed you the others already. So, let me finish it up. And there's the finished product. So any imperfections in the valve should fit perfectly with the seat and vice versa, creating a perfect seal. Again, if everything in the world was perfect, that's how everything would line up to create a beautiful seal. On to the next one. And then we'll come back and I'll show you installing the springs and why I'm using what I'm using with these 906 casted heads. Alright guys, so we're going to be using these beehive style springs as opposed to the stock springs that we got in there. It's the part number right there. They come out of an LS6. Got all the valves done. The reason we're going to use these beehive style springs is because they give me more lift for the 501 cam that I'm going to be using. So at this point, we're going to start installing the springs and the new comp cams retainers, which are right there. Part numbers. And then I got the whole box of springs sitting there. Special parts notice. And yeah, I'll get back to you after that. Alright, boys and girls. Got my first spring, retainer, and keepers in. And I'm liking the way they look. Again, these are the comp cam retainers, along with the LS6 springs to allow me to run more lift, supposedly, we'll see, on these Vortec 906 casted heads, which I've been building. I did have to end up going out and getting one new exhaust valve because this one was just completely unsalvageable. You could see all those nasty nicks and chips that just would not come out. I could not save it. Did manage to save the rest of them. I also got my brand new seals in, which are here. That's the Pro number for them. Just used a regular hammer and socket to hammer them on. This is what I'm using for my spring compressor. I'm using the original valves. You could see the difference between the springs. This one is completely cylindrical as opposed to this one, which is more of a beehive type, how it gets smaller at the top, therefore should allow more compression, as well as the coils are further spaced away. In the compressed state, it has actually a smaller, larger gap than the OE ones, and that's why we're doing that. I know some guys are going to say, oh, you should screw in the rocker holder. Well, you know what? If it pops, we'll do it. I'm running a 501 cam. We'll see if that's enough stress to throw them out. All right, guys. As you can see, I got a couple of valves done, springs, seals, retainers, keepers. I got my spring compressed, threw in my new retainer, got my 2 keepers in there, and then just slowly work it out. Make sure they close up nice. And then when we're all said and done, lay the head over, give it a tap on the tops, right about there, just to make sure, not on the valve, but on the seat itself. Make sure nothing comes apart when you give it a little tap-a-roo. Drop my tool. But, everything's looking good, and I'm hoping it runs. All right, guys. Well, as you can see, we're gonna start doing the Regal. Pull the heads off. Everything's still connected. The only thing I got off is the carburetor so far. Gonna start by trying to knock out that distributor in the back. From there, we're probably gonna start pulling random miscellaneous lines. You know, the car's been a little butchered here and there. As we all know, a 350 never came in the Regal. It came out of an RV, 15,000 miles, I was told. Hasn't started in 8 years. We're throwing the vortec heads on it that I built. And we're gonna see what happens. I'm gonna go ahead and try to do the cam, lifters, tappets, the whole nine, and get her fired up. Hopefully, gas tank has a hole in it, pretty rotted out. I have a new tank sitting, waiting to go in it as well. So, radiator, fan shroud, you know, water pump, alternator, power steering, everything's coming off. Let's see if I get it done in one day. I have a doctor's appointment later, so we'll see how that goes. But better start knocking it out now. Maybe finishing it up tomorrow. We'll see how it goes, what happens. I just gotta see. I'm gonna try to make it as clean as possible, as opposed to what it's looking like at the moment. Try to keep, you know, wires and shit nice. Whatever's not being used, we're gonna trash. I mean, the coolant temp sensor down there had a wire on it, but it was just connected to nothing. See if we can figure out where it goes. Try to help things out a little bit. A lot of butchered wiring. So we're gonna take it from there and keep moving. All right, got the valve covers off. Finally got that intake off. It was a real bitch. Rusted bolts and shit. Disgusting. Now I can move on to loosening the rockers. Pulling out the rods, push rods. And got to clean out the valley. Because as you can see, the shit from the intake fell in there. We'll get that out. We'll keep pushing on. I gotta take the water pump off to get to that cam. We're gonna keep moving along. I got one side of the exhaust off already. Still gotta do the other side. It's happening. All right, guys, we're back. As you can see, I got both of my vortec heads on this motor. Timing cover off, crank pulley off. Got all the lifters out of all their bores. Next step is we're gonna start pulling out this camshaft and then dropping in all the new lifters. Again, it's a 501 cam with it's a comp cam, so that's what we're gonna be running in this. Got the springs to hopefully accommodate it, and I don't hit nothing on the way up and down with this high lift. Everything's torqued down. I did it in 3 sequences: 25, 45, 65 foot-pounds on the heads, so that should be fine. The headers are back on it on both sides. So let me go ahead and see how this cam comes out. And here we are. New cam in, new lifters in, everything has assembly lube on it. Painted the timing cover, so waiting for that to dry, and I feel like this car keeps coming apart more and more. I had to loosen the fuel pump to drop the arm that hits the cam because it was jamming it up and I didn't want to force it. But I don't think there's anything else now that has to, oh, it looks nice in the sun, that has to come off in order for me to keep going forward. As you can see, I used a little screwdriver trick on the oil pan to get the timing cover off, as it has a lip. I'm going to be shooting some silicone in there and then just trying to re-seal it up. If it don't work, it's for another day. I'm sure it's not going to pour out, but once the car's running and driving, we'll get it up on a lift. I mean, I can proceed to putting on rockers at this point. So I might start doing that. I am going to take out the push rods again, do another wipe down, make sure all the holes are clean, so that way we get good oil. I'm wondering if there's a way, I know there's a tool that you could put on a drill to get down that distributor hole back there to help prime the oil system. However, I want to drop all the oil, and I got to put break-in oil in for these new cams and lifters anyway. I did get some crud and dirt down the valley, so I tried to clean it as best as possible. But I'm sure shit got made its way into the pan, as well as the gap you got here. So after cleaning off all of that gasket, it probably some fell in there too. So, I mean, break-in only runs for 20 minutes for the cam, and then you drop that oil anyway. So, you should get a good flush out of her. She's looking good. I have to find new hardware for the intake manifolds because this is a different design. The old ones had bigger bolts and they went in at an angle. These are slightly smaller, different thread type, and they go straight down. Yeah, what time is it? It's getting on the late side. I kind of want to give it a break. I can cover it up for now, like I've been doing. But it's got to go back together tomorrow completely because it'll be the last day for 2 days before rain. So I'm gonna see how my timing cover's doing, if it's nice and dry or dry enough. Gonna throw some silicone around here, slap that bitch back on, and keep pushing. This is the first small block 350 that I've gotten into this far. That's my own anyway. Never really had to pull heads on anything working in shops. So this is the first time I actually did a camshaft on one of these as well. You know me, I'm always a BMW guy, and I'm building a motor for that right now too. So this is my first small block 350. It's gonna get a shot of 200 nitrous on wide open throttle, and I'm looking to have maybe another 150 shot on a button. We're gonna start there. Down the long term, it's gonna probably get a K member. It's gonna get twin turbo set up, but right now all my money's invested in the BMW. So for now, we're just gonna get it running. New intake manifold, new carburetor, nice Edelbrox, and a shot of nitrous under the carb, and see how far it'll go. It is a 4-bolt main, so she should hold up to some abuse. The only thing I didn't do was gap the piston rings any larger to accommodate it, so it's only going to take so much nitrous before it blows a piston. I'm also probably going to switch out to a mechanical the mechanical for a electric one when the time comes for nitrous, just to keep everything happy. But next couple of days she should be running. I drizzled oil all over the top springs, seats, and everything, just so that way it's wet. Plus I had my lifter sitting in the Starbucks cup in oil anyway, so I figured fuck it. Other than that, I'm gonna keep going, guys. I'm not too disappointed, and if a 60-year-old man in his backyard could do it with a toothbrush and a nail file, pretty sure I could make it work. Thanks.